Thank you. I actually just realized that I've been in this field for 6 years. Time goes by so fast. Yes, um, my name is, my legal name actually is Gemma Abeya Sawil. I chose to carry my father's name. So, unlike Japhet, who was so privileged to have his full-time schooling here in Canada, it's not the same thing with me. Because when I came here to Canada, I came under the live-in caregiver program. So I was not able to go to school until I got my permanent residency status. Because if I have decided to go to school while I am under the live-in caregiver program, I'll be getting into school as an international student. And what does that mean? That my tuition fee could go as double or triple as much as what a regular student would be paying here. So I had to wait for my permanent residency status before going to school. So by then, I was blessed enough to have good employers, and they have supported me with this, with taking a course here in Canada, and actually, my last employer as a nanny actually did push me to go to school. She said, Gemma, you're not just here as a nanny. I think you're made for something more. So I actually just put that behind my mind. It's just like I'm just too old to go back to school. It's just like I've been in school. I can't remember even when I was last in school. The last time I was in school. So after I left my nanny job, I tried several factory work. I tell you, it's not for me. Long standing, you have to stand for long periods of hours. You have to work long hours. If they tell you that you have to have the night shift, then you don't have a choice but to go for a night shift. So I said, I think this is not for me. So I decided to go for schooling, but the thing is I didn't know what to take. So I had the option of going into the legal field or as a social worker. And that was when I had to seek guidance from Pastor Well. And yeah, we prayed over it, and we decided to go with the legal assistant, or back in Ontario, it's called law clerk, that course. And it seems like it just went by so fast. So I went to a school that's in Trias College. I talked to the guidance counselor, and I asked further about this job, and I believe that's a wise thing for you to do also, to seek guidance from the guidance counselor of schools that would open more options for you guys for the courses or the programs that the schools are offering. So they've explained everything to me, and then they said, and then I asked them what is needed for me to get to that program, and then they said, oh, just pass the assessment test. So I did. And then the next thing I knew, I was sitting in a classroom full of about 20 students of different ages because I was in as a mature student. What does it mean? I finished high school equivalency, but I have been out of school for more than a year. So that is what is called a mature student. I think back home in the Philippines, we don't have that. Okay, so in Ontario, they offer what they call as a law clerk. But when I came here to Edmonton, there's no such thing as a law clerk. They have legal assistant at the time. The good thing with this course is that it is not regulated. What does it mean? It means to say that when you transfer from one province to another, you don't need to take an exam to get a license to practice in that province. So that's one thing that's good with it. Although I find that there are some subjects that has been offered here as a legal assistant, which we did not take back in Ontario. So that's the thing that I had to learn within the job. Okay, so from a law clerk in Ontario, I came here in Edmonton in 2018, working as a legal assistant. I applied through an agency, and I immediately got two offers from two big companies. That's in Field Law in downtown and McLennan Ross. That is the one that's close to us. And yeah, it's I didn't. It was not hard for me to choose. Right now, I'm in McLennan Ross, and I believe that that is where I should be because up to now I'm still there. Okay. McLennan Ross has three different offices. The flagship office is here in Edmonton. We have a branch in Calgary and another smaller branch in Yellowknife. But our office houses over 60 lawyers. And we have staff that comprises of paralegals, legal assistants, accountants, mailroom clerks, receptionists, uh, court runners. What else? It's a firm that is comprised of diverse people of diverse professions. Okay, and we also have our in-house systems group. And also, did I mention accountants? Yes, we also have our own accountants. They're ever so busy. And our firm offers different services in the area of civil and commercial litigation. We also have employment law, construction law, uh, we do insurance defense. It means to say we defend insurance companies and bankruptcy, that's restructuring, Aboriginal law, tax and wills and estate. But my lawyers, I work for two lawyers, and their practices are both in construction law. One is specializing in environment and regulatory. Uh, and also we do insurance defense. The other one is in employment law, civil litigation, and commercial litigation. So generally, I am in a team where we deal mostly with litigation. I say this because there are also a team in the firm that does not major in litigation. Like for example, the corporate and securities, not so much on litigation. So what does that entail then? So I believe that I would be able to give you an idea on how a legal assistant works by the work that I do or how my day goes by. Because as a legal assistant, we are just given um, the responsibilities of a legal assistant is, of course, to assist the lawyer. Basic administrative job. And yes, but actually, as a legal assistant, when you go into an office, you would be performing these tasks, but in a different way, depending on the practice your lawyer does, depending on how you train your lawyer, depending on how busy your lawyer is, and depending on how on the way that the lawyer has been doing things. Okay? So just like Brother Japhet, our work is heavily on computers. especially now when COVID hit. I think 98% of our work are online. Booking of meetings with clients, it's online. We have WebEx. We have, yes, apart from the telephone calls. Well, we also have even signing of affidavits. The courts have made it into into a way that signing of affidavits can also be honored, even if it's done virtually. See? And even these emails too. So what I'm trying to say here is that proficiency in Microsoft, in the use of computers, it is essential in this job. And apart from that, there are other softwares that is being used in the office. Uh, so as a legal assistant, my day starts with, of course, turning on the computer. And I have to check my calendar. I have to check my lawyer's calendars. You'll send them reminders on how their day is going to be, or any upcoming appointments and stuff like that. And I have to see my tasks list and respond to what is due. And another thing is, I think 50% of my time requires also communication, written and verbal communication. Communication with whom? With my lawyers. I have to talk to them via email, via phone, or in person, and let them know what's going on, or tell them about a file. So that's important also, communication, and that's we use it a lot of times. Also have to communicate with the clients. For what? To book their appointments, to follow up with their appointments, to follow up with their accounts if it's not being paid, or to send their accounts to them, or to remind them of any outstanding documents that they need to submit. We also have to communicate with the opposing counsel. Okay, and we this is the document that you were asking for, or serving documents. We also have to communicate with third parties, like our court reporters, our servers, our court runners, uh, even also the representatives of the clients, just like what have you mentioned a while ago, controller. Now I understood that a controller is an accountant. I didn't know that, but we have been dealing with them. See, we also have to communicate with the courts because we have to file documents with the courts. We have to find pleadings. What are pleadings? These are documents that would start any claims, just like statement of defense, statement of claim, applications, and other documents such as affidavits. We also have to do that. And now that communication with the court since COVID has started, I tell you, has been a challenge, because they have said that nobody at the court is answering any more phone calls. So it's really a test of patience. And we really have to think of ways on how to get to them so that our filings or our papers or the documents that we have sent at the court has been accepted, or we have to confirm if they have received it. Or because if not, there's a tendency that the court hearing might be struck, or it might not continue because we have not complied with the rules. And my poor lawyer will be responsible for that. Another thing is also, we also have, because one of my lawyers is specializing in environment and energy. We also have to deal with the Environmental Appeals Board. Uh, this would involve matters that that are in violation of the Water Act, stuff like that. And this is where I also learned about soil contamination. Yes, That's what we are dealing with. And before it reaches the court, we have these boards that deals with the decisions of these organizations that are handling these environmental matters. It is exciting, right? Has anyone of you considered being in the legal field? Yeah, being a legal assistant is more than a secretary. It's more than being a secretary. Another thing that I also do is to draft documents. Like we do statement of claims, statement of defense, affidavits, and stuff like that. We start those things before we forward it to our lawyers for them to review. Because if our lawyers would be doing everything, then it means to say that the clients would be paying so much. Because lawyers charge by the hour, it's costly. Okay, we also do accounting job. We do the billing. We send out our billings, and we have our software. Each firm have their own softwares that they use for their billings, and we also book appointments. We also book boardrooms that will be needed for meetings, and one important thing is also file organization, document organization, and document management, be it online and in the physical. So by these things that I have said, I say that communication is key in this job because we do a lot of communication, written and verbal. I say that this is a key point in this job, but this is not my strong point. Seriously. Every time I am assigned to call a lawyer as somebody else, a client or a third party, I just put that towards the end of my tasks list because I really don't want to do it. And but the thing is, I have to do it. So what I do is that sometimes I just write down what I need to say. It does help. I write down what I need to say, especially if I'm not that familiar with the matter or the file. I write down what I need to say, what I need to ask, so that by the time I talk to that person, at least I have a guide. Okay? Another thing is teamwork. We are not just working on our own, especially if we are in a case. If we are working in a case and we are drafting, for example, a written, sorry, there's no other term for this one, but I'm just spouting some legal terms, but I'll try to explain what they are. A written brief, it's like a document that explains why we are submitting, or it explains what our stand is on the matter. Okay, so this is not just a 1-page or 5-page document. This the last 3 weeks, we've been submitting briefs for every Friday, and it's really challenging. So the last ones that we have been submitting is, we submitted a 45-page with an attachment, a separate book of authorities. It means to say these are the documents that would support what you are submitting for. And the last one that I've submitted comprised of like 1,000 pages. And we have to compile all those things. And it's not just me who is working. My lawyer is working on the brief. The paralegal is working on the document. An associate is working on getting some other authorities, and me. So there's 4 of us working on that file. So teamwork is really good. We have to work as one, and we have to learn to work with other people so that your goal of submitting that brief will be done, because there is a deadline for that. Okay? And one thing also that you have to remember as a legal assistant is the knowledge in Microsoft Office, it is very important. There are products like Word, Outlook. Outlook is very important. In Outlook, there are a lot of things that you can do, not just emails. You can assign your tasks. You can also do your calendars in there. You can put the appointments in there. There's a lot of things that you can do with Microsoft Outlook. And SharePoint, especially now that paper is not recommended. So if you attach a very large PDF in an email, it won't go through. That's why we have to learn how to use links. That's also, that's SharePoint. And uh, another thing is the, what do you call that one? It is also important for you to be open to accept changes. Like for example, in because there will always be changes in the software that they're using. There will always be uh, at a certain point in time that they will introduce another software that they're going to use. Okay, so did you find my day interesting or boring? Yes. So upon graduation, I worked in a law firm that is specializing in wills and estates. That is back in Ontario. So I worked there for 2 years. That's a small office. A small office is considered to be an office that has about 2 to 10 lawyers. So my experience in that office is that I had more responsibilities because there is no paralegal to do the work. Our accountant only reports on the weekends, so I have to do what we can while waiting for them. Another is precedents and templates. This is very important in a law firm. What are precedents? These are previous documents that has been drafted that you can use as a guide in your present job, so that this will save you the time for creating a different one. Okay? And since it is a small office, we didn't have that much precedence. And another thing is that benefits. We were not offered any benefit, any health or dental, nothing, because the office cannot afford it. But when we win big cases, we have bonus. And the other incentive also is that I can charge my own time, especially if I am drafting affidavits, long affidavits, I can charge my own time. Okay, and another thing is socially, I can also the relationship between the employers is closer, and we can even get closer with their family members. Okay, but when I came here to Edmonton, I became I became a part of a large firm, and it's a bit overwhelming at first. When it comes to responsibilities, there's a big shift. And what I like most is that the vast resources of things that we can have, and also their precedence. It's just there. And whenever I need to ask something, I have a lot of people to ask it from. Okay, and also we have our in-house tech people, and the most that I like best is the benefit. We have a good benefit at the firm, and then that covers dental, eye, and also we have a pension plan with an employer counterpart. And if we stay with a firm for about 5 years or more, they will be able to help us out with some of our fees if we decide to go back to work. So why did I decide to take up a legal assistant or to be in the legal field? First of all, is I am interested with anything legal. In fact, when I was in high school, I kept on reading of John Grisham stuff. And back home in the Philippines, I finished 3 years of law school, but then I had to move and go back to Hong Kong. So I believe that the closest that I can get to the legal field is being a legal assistant. Okay, so being a legal assistant, how do you become a legal assistant? I just found out in my research just for this event alone that legal assistant here in Alberta has been scrapped. It has been changed to paralegal studies. And in these private colleges, which used to offer the 60-week diploma program for the legal assistant, they have now reduced it to 49 weeks plus internship. Internship is already included here. And even the fees have gone lower. But Grant MacEwan University still offers this diploma program under the name paralegal studies also for 2 years. If you are interested to take up legal assistant, I would recommend that you go with the regular or public colleges so that when you decide to further your studies or further your career, or if you decide to like be a lawyer, there would be no problem or there would be no issues with accreditation. Okay? So when you go to school as a legal assistant, you expect that they would be preparing you to work in a legal field. You don't expect that they would train you to work in a very particular area. That's why when you go to school, you will be learning about legal ethics, communication, civil litigation, family law, and stuff like that. And even legal English will be offered those things. And you will be able to get to specialize when you are assigned to your lawyer. Okay? So, when you graduate as a legal assistant, where do you expect to work? I think the most places that legal assistants work are in law firms. There are also people who get hired in courts as law clerks. We also have banks, large corporations, because large corporations have their own legal team. So they would require legal assistance, and government offices, real estate offices as a real estate conveyancer. They are the people who assist in this closing documents in the sale and purchase of homes. So you have a lot of opportunities if you work as a legal assistant. So what to be expecting as a salary when you work as a legal assistant? The average wage is $30 per hour. This is not the, but for those fresh graduates, you would expect to be expecting about 22 something on average. And it could go as high as 60 depending on your experience. So that is my presentation, and I hope that you have learned something.